very special and warm welcome to you to this teaching. And I have chosen a theme on Advent, and the title, the theme for this teaching is Christ's birth, fulfillment of our Advent hope. As you are fully aware that the cycle of the church consists of 3 years, year A, year B, and year C. And we are now nearly at the end of year C. And on the first Sunday of Advent, we start a new liturgical year, a year of worship. And during this year, year A, we read the Gospel of Matthew. That's how it works. Year A is dedicated to Matthew, year B to Mark, and year C to Luke. Now, this is the scope of this teaching, as I said to the leaders and the co-leaders of the parish evangelization cells. What should be the key theme, the prominent theme of our Advent journey? Let us get rid once and for all of this idea that Advent is a preparation for Christmas. Not at all. Yes and no. There is a little bit of conundrum, a knotty problem. And this problem has been addressed and also solved by our new lectionary, the book that we use for our scriptural readings throughout the Mass. So, the question is this: what should be the prominent theme of our Advent journey? First, should it focus upon the Christian hope, that is to say, the final consummation of history, the end of time? Which means, should it concentrate on the second coming of Christ, the resurrection of the dead, the last judgment, and, of course, new heaven and a new earth? Should it focus on this entirely? Second question, should it be a period of preparation for the first coming of Christ, which means when the Son of God assumed human condition, became flesh? Or, the third question, should it place us back in the period, in the time of the history of salvation prior the first coming of Christ? Now, these three questions have been addressed and solved by our new lectionary, as I have said. And how? Those of us who have been attending the Sunday Masses, this Sunday, 33rd, next Sunday, the Feast of Christ the King, and also throughout the weeks, the readings have been focused entirely on the end of time. As I said, on the consummation of history. Leave this phrase again, the end of the world. That's not biblical at all. Consummation of history. So, we have been concentrating on this. And on the first Sunday, we continue. The first question about will still be focused on. On the second and third Sunday, the Church turns our attention not on the second coming, but on the first coming. And why I'm saying this? Just to appreciate the ingenuity of the lectionary, which means year C, the current year, dovetails into the new year, year A. And that's how this conundrum has been solved. But Advent is a preparation for the second coming of Christ. By accepting in our lives his first coming. That's how the church looks at the period, at the journey of Advent. This year, as also in previous years, we have got as well a theme, but for this teaching, I'm going to give you the overarching theme insight of the forthcoming Advent journey. It is based, of course, on the readings of the first Sunday, second Sunday, third and fourth Sunday of Advent. And the main theme of the readings is from spiritual sluggishness, drowsiness, to divine intimacy, divine encounter. That's what the Advent journey is all about. So on the first Sunday of Advent, we concentrate on Christ's second coming. Christ is coming in glory. Second and third Sunday, Christ is coming in grace, which means in grace that we need to accept him in our lives. So glory and grace, how his first coming is going to affect our lives. And third and fourth Sunday, then the church focuses her attention on her first coming, on the first coming of Christ. Christ is coming in the flesh, the fourth Sunday of Advent. So how should we respond to this Advent, to this coming? 4 key words I have chosen. We awake on the first Sunday. On the second Sunday, we prepare. On the third Sunday, we rejoice. But one step after the other. And then, on the fourth Sunday, we behold Jesus Christ, the God who chooses to dwell among us. So these are the 4 key words. I repeat them. Awake, prepare, rejoice, and behold. On the fourth Sunday, my dear friends, the church presents us with a benchmark of this, of how we can welcome Christ into our lives. And the person that the church presents us with is undoubtedly Mary. Now, Mary, like many, many mothers, and some of you are mothers, waited for the coming of baby Jesus, like all mothers do. And her waiting is indeed a benchmark model for our waiting for the second coming of Christ. Christ is not going to be born again. The way she waited for his first coming is a model of us, how we should wait for his second coming. And how? Our desire to be open and ready for God's action in our lives in Advent. That's how we can actually wait. God wants to intervene in our personal, in our individual life. But how? How can he intervene? He's ready. We need to allow barriers, whatever barriers we have got, and pull them down with his grace. My dear friends, waiting requires awareness and consciousness of what one is waiting for. So it therefore necessitates a journey from sleeping to a beholding state. Those 4 words we need to bear firmly in mind. We are being expected to awake, to prepare, to rejoice, so that may be able to behold the Son of God made flesh in my life. Now, I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and this is how, you might ignore them, but this is how I prepare myself for Advent and also for Lent. But for Advent, now, I always ask questions and try to write down what I need to get rid of during this Advent. Now, the question is this, or questions. Can you identify and name anything that is hindering you at this moment from starting your Advent journey? God the Father through his Son wants to come in me, but I've got an obstruction. How? What obstruction? The Lord is asking me to get rid of. And what obstacle, which is a similar question, what obstacle present in your life right now at this moment in time is preventing Jesus from being born again in grace, again in your life this Advent? Now the scope is this. When we sing the beautiful carols we have got, especially the carol, a son has been born unto us, those words wouldn't resonate with our lives unless we have done this journey throughout Lent. On Christmas, we would be able to say, yes, during this journey, Christ has been born in me and to me. So let us rejoice and be joyous. Cannot experience this unless we go through a journey, a process of awakening, of preparation, of rejoicing, and eventually of beholding. God bless.